Hello everyone. Please confirm to me if you can hear me well. So we wait few minutes until everyone is here and then we start today's session. Just write me in the chat if you can hear me well. All right. Okay, perfect. So we just wait few moments and then we can start. All right. So I guess we can start. So here. All right. So before we start writing some code, first I would like to highlight something, which is really important, and honestly, like, I enjoyed it. So the last time I told you that if you want to contribute to the code, just go ahead and like add the code and create your pull requests. So I'm super happy that I see already 3 open pull requests. I already quickly checked them and I checked the changes, which, like, I really like the code and the way you wrote the methods and the code you provided. Also, I would like to discuss it really in deep and in details. So for that, today I will skip reviewing this pull request because I want to do it for the next time. I want to do it via a Google Meet altogether, because I would like to discuss with you and see. I like to have a live chat together. So instead of me just reviewing the code and maybe adding comments, but I would like really to have a discussion with you, and mainly with the people who will contribute. Also, we can keep on pushing or creating your pull requests, and then we will discuss all this together the next time. So for the next time, so it will be also live on YouTube as always, but we will do it via Google Meet. But so also for the people who are interested, and also I would like, or I prefer that you join that you join the Google Meet that we will have together, so we can discuss this one. So the next session will be a really special one, and this will give you so many information and so many hints, and we will see how we review pull requests, and then we will merge what can be, or like what will be merged all together. All right, so now let's go back to our implementation, or to the code. So here, the last time we implemented the save game method. So we saw that for saving an object, we need to go through different checks, and we need to decide what we want to do. And deciding that, it really depends on the requirements, on the business requirements, and the decision of the product manager or the product owner, or even like the team decision for some cases. So we have some to-dos left. So here among them, how to create, or like that we need to create a dedicated exception. So we will discuss this today. So this is one of the topics that we will see together, how to decide, or how should we create the exceptions, or like how we should manage or organize the exceptions for our application. And then we have to assign the game. So this is also going to be something experimental, if we might say. So we'll try to experiment and see that. So for today, we will try to implement the update game, find all games, and delete game. So for uploading the image, this one we will leave it for later. Mainly when we go, or like when we start or like after setting up the AWS account and creating the S3 bucket. So the implementation, like, to be honest, it's quite simple, like code wise it's quite simple. And then we will configure later on the CDN, or like the cloud front, to expose the data, or like the media through S3 bucket, from S3 bucket through the CDN. So first, let's go through the update, or like let's finalize these three methods, and then we will go back to discuss the exceptions, so like how we should handle exceptions within our application. And this also will introduce us to an interesting topic, which is exception handling within a Spring Boot application. So here, for updating a game, so this is quite simple. So to update a game, just to follow the best practices, we need to have a put method. So like the HTTP call, or like the HTTP action, it's gonna be a put action, or a put method, and we need the game ID that we want to change, as well as the game request. So just to remind you, the game request contains mainly three information. So we have the title, the category, and the platform. All right. So for that, what we need to do, we need, like, it's going to be almost the same thing that we did in here, but we will not go in deep. We just need to check, of course, for the title. We need to check if the title already exists or not. We need to get the selected consoles. We need to remove some of them, and also we need to add new ones, and so on and so forth. So like we need also to manage this part. And then of course we need, so here we can also keep this one. It's not we can, but we have to keep this one. All right, so we need to keep it. And then of course we need to check if the new category that we want to update to already exists or not, and so on and so forth. So it's gonna be something really similar to the save method, except that first of all we need to check if we have the game by ID. All right, so we need to check if the game already exists or not. All right, so before we go, so first of all, let's just 1 second. I need to check something, and then we start the code. All right, so here the first thing, so here let's just so for a quick reminder, let's check the game. So the game we have our game entity, and we have a many-to-many with the supported platforms. So this is the most important part for me that I want to show you today. So here let me maybe explain it this way before we move on. So here what do we have? So here we have our game object or our game entity, and here we have the platforms or the consoles. All right, so here we have the platforms, and we have in here a many-to-many relationship. All right, so like a game can be can be played on many platforms, and one platform can have many games. So here let's say that for the first time we create the game with the ID 1. So here we have like the many-to-many or like the association table. So we have the game 1 with the platform 1, we have game 1 with the platform 2, and we have game 1 with the platform 3. So this is the representation of our table. So now I would like to change, or like I would like to update this game, like the game with the ID 1. I would like to update it, and now whether I want to add, so here we have two options. So whether I want to add a new platform, so like, okay, my game now is supported on a new platform, or I would like to remove one. So here I would like to remove one of the games, all right, or one of the supported platforms. So in this case, I will show you how we can do that. All right, so this is very important. So now let's go back to the code, and let me reduce this, and we can just go back to the game service. So here let's start by doing the classic checks. So first I will have a game object, and then my game, it will be like game repository dot find by ID, and here instead I will do just or else throw, and here let's throw a not found exception, or for this time it's gonna be a new runtime exception, and we will adjust this one. So here at this phase, or like at this step, we want to check that we already have the game by this game ID. So we need to make sure that we want to update that game. So if we receive an ID that does not exist, we should of course stop that. And then we can also copy paste the code that we have in here. So first I would like to check the title. So here I will just copy paste the code step by step so we can understand all together. So here what do we have? We check if we have the game by the new title, the one that we receive in here. So like this will be the new title. And also we need to do a double check. So here we need to do another check, because let's assume that for the game I just want to change the supported platforms, and the game request, it will contain the same elements, or like the same information that we have already for this game. All right, so we want to change, or like we need to check that the game request.title is different from the game title that we have already stored in our database. All right, so here we can do different checks. So here I can do the following. So if my game.getTitle, and here is not equal, so here I will use the not. So I need the negation, and here I need my game request.getTitle, sorry, not get class. So, and so for this case, if the titles are not the same, all right, so here let me give you an example just to make it clear. So here on the database side, maybe let me use a different color. So here on the database side, I have a game with the title game 1, for example, and we have the other information. So now I would like to change the game 1 to game 2. So I would like to change the title from game 1 to game 2. So I will receive my object with game 2. Now let's suppose that in the database I already have another game called game 2. So the first thing that I would like to check is this one. So these two, the game 1, like the new title with the existing one. So if they are not different, so I need to move on and perform the second check, which is game 2, and if I have any other game having the same title, game 2. So this is the code that I added in here. All right. So if they are different, and this one, like I do not have something that already exists, or if they are different and I already have a game exists already with the same title, so in this case I need to throw an exception. The other case, so like the else, it will be the game title are not different, and I do not have a title or like a game having the same title as the new title that I want to change my game to. All right, so this is what we did. So the next step after that, so here I need to perform, or like I need to update the selected platforms. All right, so here for this one I need to do few things. All right, so here I will add, or I will adjust a little bit the code. So I will do some adjustments, and in here in this game method I will add few methods. All right, so in the same way as we did for add wishlist and remove wishlist, because for here we have also a many to many, and of course for this many to many we have a fetch type eager, because we want to get, or like to fetch the different platforms eagerly. Now I will add a cascade. All right, so like a cascading type or style. So here a cascade type, I want to use persist. So persist if I want to add something new. So this will, if I change my game with new platforms that they are not already saved in the database, so they will be persisted. Okay, and also if I want to update something, so here this is why we need the merge. All right, so here this is the first change. And now in the same way as we did in here, I will add two methods. So here I will add a method public void add platform, and then I will receive an object platform. So it will be this dot platforms dot add platform, and then platform dot get games dot add this. So I need to add the current. All right, and then I need to remove a platform. So thanks to IntelliJ for the auto completion. So I need to remove the platform from the list of the platforms that I have right now. And then for this platform, I need also to remove the game. All right, so this is what I'm doing. All right, so like I'm removing the current game, because we know here that we have, or like that the relationship we have, it's like a bidirectional relationship. So here I have let me change the color. So this is the game, so like it's pointing, or like it's showing so many times. So I'm removing this element from here, and then from the platform I need also to mention that for this specific platform I would like to say to remove also the link with this game. All right, so this is what what these two methods are going to do. All right, so now we will do some math. It's not really math, but I would like really to call it math. So here we have our game, and within the game we have the different platforms. All right, so here I will create a list of platform, and it will be current platforms. All right, so equals game dot get platforms. So these are the platforms that I have currently, or like for the current state of my game. All right, so now I need to create a new, so like what are the new platforms that I would like to add. All right, so here I will have a list of platform as well. So here I will call it new platforms. So here for this one I would need my platform repository at this phase. So let me also optimize the imports. So we have already the platform repositories, just repository, not repositories. All right, so here it will be as follows. So it will be platform repository dot find all by ID. All right, so find all by ID, and here all I need to do is to get from my game request dot get platforms. So here for the platforms we do not have the ID, so we have only the list of platforms. So we need to perform something just like follows. All right, so we need to have something like this. We need to get the list of the platforms, and then from that we need to get the different IDs. All right, so let's copy this code right here. I think this code is clear because we already implemented it the last time. So here I will just put it in the beginning. All right, so like up front. So here we just, first of all, we get the platforms, because here the platforms is a list of string. All right, and then I strip over it, and then I try to construct it from the enum that I have, and then I just get it to a list, and then I just get the list of the platforms from the database. And then here for this find all by ID, so let's have a look on the parameter that we have. So here we need to pass a list or an iterable of type string. All right, so this will be the IDs. So now I will create another final list of string, and then let's say platform IDs. Okay, so we have here also an auto completion. So here we have platform.stream, and then I would like to map or like to get the ID from here, and then I just collect it to a list. All right, so now instead of passing the game request.platforms, I just need to pass my platform IDs. All right, and this is what we need for now. So this will fetch the new platforms from the database. So like the new platforms based on what we will receive. All right, so this is what we mean by that. So here I will have also another list of platforms. If this is not clear, I can also re-explain it again. So here platforms to add. So the platforms to add, this will be a new, so here this will be a new array list of the new platforms. All right, so these are the platforms to add. Okay, and then what I need to do, so then platforms to add, I need to first not add all, but I need to remove all. So remove all new platforms, current platforms. All right, so like here what we are trying to do is we have a list, and for one time we will subtract, and another time we will add some information to have the final list of platforms that I would like to persist. All right, so then I will have also another list of platforms. So this one it will be the platforms to remove. Also it will be, or like it will contain the same, or like the current platforms. All right, and then I need to remove all the new platforms from that one, from the platforms that I would like to remove. And then all I need to do is to loop over the platforms to add and the platforms to delete or to remove, and I need to add the role or to remove the role from the game itself, from this object game itself. All right, because this is the one that I would like to persist. All right, so now I will loop over platforms to remove, and also I would like to loop over, so here platform, and then platform of type platforms to add. So for the platforms to add, so here I'm just preparing the two loops. Here all I need to do is to do game.getPlatforms.add. So here it's add, so it needs to be add. All right, sorry, it should be game.addPlatform. So game.addPlatform. All right, so this is the method that we created. So this add platform, it will add the current platform to the list of platforms, and then it will link the game to the games that we have in the platform. All right, so this is what we are trying to do. And then I need my game.remove platform, and then I have to remove this one. All right, so this is what I need. This is what I need to do. All right, so this is what needs to be done. So now this will try to subtract, or like we'll try to clean up in a, like if I try to say it in a different way, as I mentioned in here, or as I explained in here. So here I have the list. So maybe let me have a new drawing and I can re-explain it. So if this is clear, just write me in the comments and I can move on. So I have game 1 with platform 1, game 1 with platform 2, and game 1 with platform 3, for example. And now I have two things. So first I would like to add a fourth platform. So I want my game to be supported by a fourth platform, and I would like to remove this one, for example. So I'll just mark it with an arrow right here. So what we did in here, so let's try to go through the code step by step. So first of all, the first thing that I did in here, so here we have, where is it? So first we have the current platforms. So the current platforms is the one that we currently have. So this is the one that we currently have. So this block right here, okay? And then we have the new platforms. So the new platforms, we just try to fetch all the platforms with the platform's ID that we receive as a parameter. So as a parameter, what we will receive? So we will receive the following. So we'll receive this one, and we'll receive this one and this one, because this one no longer exists, okay? Because we have a list, and then we will pass everything, or like the existing plus the new ones, and we will remove the old ones, or the ones that we want to remove. And then now the platforms that we want to add is the same as the new platforms, which is like find all by ID. And then I need to remove from that, or I need to subtract all the current ones. All right. And then the same for the platforms to remove, it will be the same as the current platform. All right. And then all I need to do is to remove all the existing ones. All right. So this is what I need to do. And finally, for both of them, so like for the platforms to add and the platforms to remove, so for the add, I need to call the add platforms, and for the ones to remove, I need to call remove platforms, so we can detach those ones. All right. So this is what we did so far. All right. So now we managed the link, or like the relationship between the game and the platform. So it will be also the same later on when it comes to the wish list. All right. So it will be exactly the same. So this is a pattern that you can keep in mind. So this is a pattern that you can use always to have, or like to manage many relationships when you want to update the list. Also another way, so like it might be a simpler way, which is removing everything and just adding the new ones, or like just re-adding the new ones. All right. So like we want to keep 1 1 2 and so on and so forth. All right. So like this is also one way of doing things. All right, so I see one question: why using list and not set? So here, okay, so this is a valid question. So this is really a valid question, and also like a set will help us avoid duplicates. So this is totally true. The only thing is that in here we used a list. All right, so like if we want to use here a set, but this is also one topic that we will discuss in the future, or like in the coming session, because also I think one of you sent me already an email with some remarks, so we will discuss this one. All right, so don't worry about that. All right, so now I managed also the platform. So here the platforms are done. So the next step after that, so if I go back, if I go up, so here also I can check, or like I can double check, or like I can check this one. All right, so I can do also this check before moving to this part. All right, so let's first do it. All right, so if I copy this one, or this block, so here we have our selected consoles, and we have here all of them. So now, like at this level, I can add this check. So here, let me just explain, or like remind what we did. So first we get the game. All right, so we get the current game that we want to update. The second step, we would like to check the title, but in this case, it's not a new game that I just check if the title already exists, but it's an update for an existing game. So first, I need to make sure that the two titles are different. All right. If they are different, I can move on and check if the new title does not exist in my database. All right. So the next step, I have this part right here. So just mapping, or like transforming the list of platforms as string to a list of console. console. So the next step is just to find this list from the database, or like to get it from the database. And then after that, I just need to check if I have all the platforms which are supported in my application. All right, so like in that case, I should not receive a new one. So here I'm counting that for the people who did not assist the last session, so I'm counting that you already watched the previous video. So then for this part, it's managing the platform, so like the relationship between the game and the platform itself. All right, so after that we can move on to the next step. So as I mentioned, like updating a game is almost the same as creating a game. So here I need just to do a mapping. So all I need to do is to do a mapping, but in that case I do not need to set the platforms. So here, this method to game, it only sets the title. So I don't need to call this method in here because I only have one attribute. This is what I mean. All right, so here all I need to do, so not this, but game dot set title, game request dot title. So here this is the only change, or like the only attribute that I would like to change, and the rest it's already managed before. All right, and then all I need to do is to call my save method and everything will be fine. So if you have questions, please go ahead and ask me the questions that you have, or prepare them, and I will answer them just in a few moments. So I hope updating a game is clear, and especially and mainly this part, because for me this is the most important part. All right, so let's continue implementing the next methods right now. So as I mentioned, finding or like uploading an image, we will keep it for later. So now let's implement the find all games. So here we need a page response. So like we need to return a page. So let's implement this one. All right, so here simply what we need to do. So here we need to create a page request. So this is the first step. All right, so like we need to create a page request, and here this is a page request dot off. So this is what we need. This is what we need to do at first. Okay, so then after that, what needs to be done. Sorry, so this is the implementation, I guess. Yes, so this is the implementation. And here, by the way, we can use the pageable object. So the pageable is an interface. So like this, we follow the best practices and the good principles, which is the L in the solid principles, which is the list of substitution, which is using interface over the class. So here I will use a pageable object, and this page request, or like let's call it page or something like that, or even a pageable to be consistent, equals page request dot off, and here I need to pass the page and the size, and that's it. If I want to sort my games, for example, by created date or something like that, I can also add a sorting. So here, for example, I can say sort dot by, and then all I need to do is to pass my attribute. And in here, so let me go to the game. So for example, if I go to the game, we have in the base entity, we have the created by, last modified by, created date, and so on and so forth. So for this one, we will implement it also the next time. So here we can say, for example, always order the list or the result by created date, and it will be sorted that way. So I already explained that before, but for now we will keep it, or like we will use it without sorting, but of course we will need sorting later on. All right, so now I will need a page. All right, so a page of type game. So it will be games, or like games page, something like that. And game repository dot find all, and among the find all methods, we know that we can pass a pageable attribute, or like a pageable parameter. So this will page automatically my response. All right, so this is what we need to do. And then all I need is to map my result. So here we have a game response. So this is it's going to be a page. So it will be a page response of type game response. All right, so like this page response is already a generic class, and the generic class, or like the genericity, is for the content itself. All right, so let's do it. So here I will have a list of game response equals, let's call it maybe game responses or game response, as you like. So like it's fine to choose the name you want, and it will be games page, and then I will just stream, and then I will do a mapping. So here I can call my mapper, so this dot game mapper, and here we can say, for example, to game response. So we don't have this method, but we will implement it in few seconds. All right, and then of course we need collect dot to list, or like I think we can use to list directly in here. All right, so now let's go ahead and implement this game response. So here this will return a game response out of the game. So here all I need to do is to return a game response dot builder dot build, and here we have the ID, we have the title, sorry, not to string but the title. Wait, okay, we called it name, so let's keep name, or we better change it to title, I guess. So just to be consistent, I will change it to title. And then what do we have? We have the image URL. For now I will keep it as empty, or I will keep it this way, fix me, just to remember that we have something that we need to fix. And also here, so here in the like the same way as to do, we have also like a fix me. All right, so here set the CDN URL. All right, so after the image URL, we have the platforms. So here for the platforms, we need to provide the list of the platforms. All right, so for the platforms, all I need to do is just to return the list of the supported platforms. Like I need to use the name of the enum element. All right, so this is quite simple. So it will be game.getPlatforms. Maybe let me break the line in here, so I think it will be much readable. And then stream, and then I would like to map. So it will be p for platform, and then it will be p.getConsole, and then .name. All right, and then of course I need to list. So here we said it's gonna be a set, so we can keep using a set in here. So it's totally fine. So this is the method. Let's check if we have another attribute. I think we are done. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. If I check my game, we have 4 elements. All right, so now I will go back to my game service. So this is my game response. All right, so this is the game response that I have. And now all I need to do is to return my page response element, and that's it. Okay, so here I will return my page response. So whether we can use the builder, or let's use maybe, so wait. All right, so let's use the builder, I guess. That should be perfectly fine. So here first I have the content, so which is the game response. And then we need to get the number, or like the page number. Wait, so here we have the number. So yeah, number will be the page number, or like maybe we can call it even page number, just to be so it's more clear. And then we have the size. All right, so let's go back in here. So we have page number, and then we have the size. We have also the total elements. So the total elements, it will be games dot, or like games page dot get total elements. So this one, but I guess total elements, this one is of type long, and the one we have here is int. So let's change this one to long to be consistent. And then we have total pages, and we have the is first and is last. All right, and then is last. So here we just, as I explained before, so this part is only that I created this page response only because I do not want much information as provided from the page in here. But as I mentioned before, we can just return this page of game. All right, and you will have already all this content except that you need to map the response. All right, so like anyways, you have to create your own object or like a page of a different type. Okay, so this is the find all method. I will answer your questions in few moments once I finish the delete method. All right, so here for deleting a game. So now the find all games is complete, and now for deleting a game. So for deleting a game, we have two options. So check if the game exists. All right, so we need to check like whether we check. So let's call this one option 1. So we check if the game exists. So if this is a simple, this is a simple simple deletion. All right, because why a simple deletion? Because the game might be the last element of the hierarchy. So this means what? Like I'm talking about, so here first we need to check if the game exists. Let me finish that and then I will answer it. I will come back to this one. So, or we have option 2, just delete. And just deleting will not cause an issue if the game does not exist. All right, so because whether we delete the element or we don't. So this is why I mentioned just delete, because it will not be a problem. All right. Right, so here we have two options. So whether I need to perform some checks before deleting a game. All right, so whether I need to perform some checks before deleting a game or not. So in this case, what do we have? Maybe let's go back to our resources and let's go check our database design. Let me make this one full screen. So here, what do we have? So we have a game, and the game has a relationship with comments and with category. All right, so the category, it's not a problem, because because for the category I need to check the category before deleting the game, because when I delete a game, I will be left with, for example, if I delete all the games, I will be left with categories that have no games assigned to it. All right, but now for the comment, when I add the comment, I need to assign that to a game. So in this case, if I delete a game, I will be left with comments that are assigned to a game that does not exist any longer in my database. So this is the first part. Here I also have a wish list. So if I delete a game in here, I need to delete all the relationship that I have with the wish list with it. All right, whether deleting the full wish list, which does not make sense, but I just need to delete the link between the game and the wish list itself. So here, what I was trying to say is, first we just check. So here, first of all, we want to check if the game exists or not, and or just perform a deletion. So the second check, or like what we can also do as extra, is check the relationships. So here, let me say that the important relationships. All right, so the important relationships, and the important relationships, I mean by that what I was just explaining. So if I delete a game, I do not need to check if the category exists or not, because I can delete a game and I can just be left with a category that has no games assigned to it. All right, but when I want to delete the game, I need to check if I would like to delete all the comments or not. All right, and for that, I will just give you one hint, or like one hack, which is really nice. And for this, we can have something, because let's imagine that we are already in a web page. All right, so here we have our game card, or like we have our so we have, this is the game. All right, and here I have the trash icon. So here the user will try to delete the game. So when the user clicks on deleting the game, all right, so I can first, like I can have a first call. So like this will be the call number 1. all right? Or I can have like difference, okay? Or let's say we have one call, all right? So let's say that we have one call to our backend. All right, so the first call will do all the necessary checks. So we will see that this game has already some comments, all right? So we can respond with a response. So we have comments assigned to this game. And we can also ask the question in here. So we can ask the user, would you like to delete the game and all the comments, for example, all right? Or like all the things that are related to that game, all right? So this is gonna be something, or like this is something that can be done. So if the user chooses yes, we have yes, and we have no. So if the user chooses yes, we will send a new request in here saying that I would like to delete the game, and also I would like to delete everything which is related to the game, all right? So here what we can do. So I hope the idea is clear, all right? So this one is quite simple. So just deleting the game, it's quite simple, but the most important part is are these checks, all right? So we need to check the relationships. So here I will just keep them as to do, just to see them. Check. So here, check the comments. So if the user would like to delete the game as well as the comments, okay? And also in here, let's add another to do. Check the wish lists. All right. So this is also the second check that we want to do. So for the comments, we have a simple hack. So there is some information that we need to add to the game entity. So we can delete a game and all the comments that are assigned, or like that are related to that current game, or to the one that we want to delete. For the wish list, we should not delete the wish list itself. We just need to unassign it. All right, we just need to unassign that game from that wish list. Okay. So here, this is the one. But now the question is, so like the most, for me, the good question is, how can I have one endpoint, so like one endpoint that can do the same? So that can, first of all, just try to delete a game. If something is wrong, we just return an error or an error message. And then if I can delete a game with a confirmation. All right, so like if I say yes, I would like to delete the game and everything which is related to it, how can I do that? So the answer is quite simple. So here I just need to add a Boolean flag, force, for example, or for example, if you want to call it delete orphans or anything like that, or here let's call it confirmation or confirm. All right, I think confirm is much better. So now, first thing I would like to do is on the comments in here, right? So for the comments, we have an attribute called orphan removal. So orphan removal, by default, it's false. So orphan removal, it's whether to apply to remove operations to entities that have been removed from the relationship and to cascade the remove operations to those entities. This means if I delete a game, I would like to remove all the elements that are related to this game. And here we are talking about the comments. All right. So this is what orphan removal means. Okay. But if we add this orphan removal to the wish list, this might be risky, because removing one game does not mean removing the full wish list, because the wish list might also have other games in it. But if the wish list contains no games, we can simply delete it. All right. So this is a choice for us, or like this is up to us later on. So let's go back and continue implementing the delete game right now. All right. So first, let's do the checks. The first check I would like to do is the comments. All right. So first, I would like to mark this as a transactional method. All right. So this will be a transactional, and it will be a read only, because I would like to make it a transactional because I only want to fetch the data. I'm not writing anything. or no, sorry, here we are writing something. We are writing, so we will be performing some deletion. So we should not mark it as read only true. All right, so here what I would like to do. So now I can eagerly fetch the comments. All right, so I know it might not make sense. Or I can just make a count simply. All right, so I can simply just count the comments by game, or I can fetch this one in an eager way. The best practice would be not. All right, so like I won't mark it as, so here, so I will not add a fetch type eager because this will fetch all the comments. And let's imagine that a game has thousands of comments or like even millions of comments. So this will be too much. All right, so this will be too much to do. So the first thing I will need, maybe let me reduce this one. So the first thing that I will need is my private final comment repository. So we don't have it yet, so let's go ahead and create it. So comment repository, and here I will create it in the comment package. All right, so this one will extend my JPA repository, and here it's of type string, since the comment extends the base entity, which is a string ID, just to remind you about that. All right, so now I have my comment repository. Here, all I need to do is, let's say, long count, or like long comments count equals my comment repository dot count, count by, and here we can say count by game ID. All right, so since we have the game ID, let's pass the game ID in here. So now also we can, let's check, so create methods, and yes, so we can keep this derived query in here. So just count game by ID. All right, so this will return count by game ID. So this will count how many comments we have for that specific game. All right, so now here we have two checks. So let's first check the wish list. All right, so let's first check the wish list. Here, let's check for the wish list. We have also like a many to many relationship. So for the wish list, for a wish list, it might be also a long result. So here, let's assume, or let's suppose that our platform will support or supports millions of users. All right, so for one specific game, so we can have a really or a very popular game. So for one game, we can have many users that they will add this game to their wish lists. So if I also do a fetch type eager in here, so this will also might result in a long result from my database. So the best practice is to do the same as we did in here. All right, so this one I will just call it sorry, we do not have a repo for the wish list, right? We don't have a wish list. Okay, so we have an entity for the wish list. Yes, so we need also a wish list repository. So wish list repository, and let's create this wish list repository in the wish list package. So again, extends JPA repository, and here I just need to change this one to a string. Now in the same way, like it's gonna be the same. So long wish list count, and here count by game ID and game ID. So let's go ahead and create the method. So here count by games. Right, because in the wish list we have games. All right, so for that we will need a query. All right, so here we will have select count star just or anything from wish list So here maybe let's give it an alias and here W. All right. And here where W dot games. Before that, we need to join. All right. So here I need join W dot games. So this is a simple way to have, let's call it G for games, and where G dot ID equals and then game ID. So this is a way how to do a join between a many-to-many relationship between when you use JPQL, all right? Because in the wish list in here, we have a list of games. So like usually or like normally, we would say select star from wish list where like inner join games on game.id equals wishlist dot game ID and so on and so forth. But this is a really this is a simple way how to do joining. All right, so like here we are joining W or the wishlist dot game, so it will perform an automatic joining, and then we can filter based on that. All right, so let's go back in here. So now what we can do. So here we want to check if we have comments and if we have wish lists. So here we need to check if the user would like to delete that or not. Okay. So if the user wants to delete, if he already sent the confirmation. All right. So now, first of all, before doing that, if my comments count is greater than 0. All right. So this is the first thing. So if my comment count is greater than 0. So here, because here I will just do a system out for now, and we will complete it when we move to the exceptions part. All right. So when we implement the exceptions, we will implement it. So the current game has comments, for example. Let's keep the message simple. All right. So now in the same way, I will just do a system out. So like the current game is attached or like belongs to X wish lists. All right. And this one, let me fix the typo. All right. So now in this case, if I have these two things, all right, so here what I will do, so it's gonna be this way. So I will create a list of string, all right. So here, let's say errors, something like that, and I can make this one final. And here I will just do errors, or maybe let's call it warnings, much better, because he would just want to warn the user, or like warnings. Sorry, warnings. All right. So here we want to add the first one, and here let's do the same. Let's say, for example, wishlist count is greater than 0, and then the front end can handle these messages the way they want. Okay. And now so here in this case, if my warnings dot size is greater than 0, so here I will throw a new exception. All right, one or more warnings are not supported, or like one or more warnings. That's it. So and then we will handle. So here let's add the to do. Add an exception, or add a custom exception. All right. So this will be the exception handling that we'll see after. All right. So here, if the warning size is greater than 0, and here comes the best part, and not confirm. All right. So if the user did not confirm, I would like to throw an exception. This means, so let's imagine the scenario. So the user sends the delete request for the first time with the game ID, and the confirm it will be by default false, because he clicks on delete button for the first time. We will count the comments as well as the wish lists. All right. So here we see that, for example, the game has already some comments. Okay. And now I would like to check if I have warnings before deleting this game. So here in this case, I have warnings. So I will just return an error message to the end user or to the customer saying that you have one or more warnings, okay? And then the front end will intercept this response and will show the confirmation pop-up, or like the confirmation for the user. Would you like to continue delete, or would you like to really delete this game or not? The second call, it will be the same with the game ID and the confirm equals true. So we will perform the same thing as before. So like we will do the same check. We will find also that we have comments. And now I will check the warnings, but the confirm is true. So I will not throw any exception. All right. So I will move to this part of the code or of the method. All right. So this is what I'm trying to implement in here. So now in this case, if the user already confirmed, or if I do not have any warnings, so like this is the else. So here, if I have warnings, or if I do not have warnings, and the user confirmed or not. So if I do not have warnings, so it should be totally fine. All I need to do, so here, as I mentioned, for the comments, we mention it, or like we mark it as orphan removal. So when I do game repository.delete by ID game ID, it will delete the game itself, as well as it will delete the comments, right? So here also one thing else that I can do. So something else is I think orphan removal in many-to-many also works in the same way. Just a second. Nope. No, for the many-to-many we do not have the option of removal because we need to perform that manually. So here all I need to do, I just need to delete, or I need to unattach the game or the current game from the wish lists, all right, like from the different wish lists. So here I will keep it as a to-do, and I would like to give it as an exercise for you. How would you suggest? So if you want, whether just post it on our Discord server, or create a pull request for that. All right. So like I would like, because I checked also like the delete option, or like the delete method or the delete implementation, and this is why I wanted to show you this today. Okay. So now I would like you for this to do, I would like you to show me how you would remove the game from the wish lists. All right, wish lists. So this I would like to give it as an exercise for you. All right. So we will continue, or like we will fix it together for the next time. So now, before we end this session, let's go back and see these exceptions. By the way, start preparing your questions. We will start our Q&A session soon. All right. So here we have save game. All right, so here we need to create a dedicated exception. So first I will introduce how personally, from my experience and from my preferences, how I would like to manage or like to create the exceptions. So here we have different schools. Yes. So here we have different schools. So we can, or like we have different options. So we can create, like in a massive way, we can create an exception per scenario. So exception per scenario. This means what? So this means the following. So for example, I have just an example, right? So for example, a game already exists, exception. All right. We can have another one. So what are the scenarios that we have? So game already exists. So for example, game platform not supported. All right. We can also game deletion exception. Just an example. and so forth. All right. This is one school. All right. There is another school where I can create one exception per domain, or like 2 exceptions per domain, for example. So here we can also have another one. So exception per domain. So this means what? An exception per domain. So we can have something like follows. So we have game exception. And let's just say as an example, all right? So game validation exception, or like game, I will keep it simple. Exception, I will keep it generic, all right? So this is also another way, or different school. We have also another one that sticks mainly to 2 types of exceptions. So 2 types of exceptions. So these 2 types of exceptions are the following. So mainly we focus only on 2 exceptions. So business exceptions and a technical exception. So for the business exception, so I will try first to focus on this one to explain it, and then I will come back to the others. So the business exception or the technical exception, or like this, the one with 2 types. So we will have the following. Sorry, this is not what I meant, but we will have the following. So for the business exception, it will be some information, like we will have a business code, BC for a business code, and we will have also like an error message, and also we can have a source. We need to have a source. All right, so like a source means what? A source, if this exception was thrown on a game service, if this exception was thrown on XYZ, so like where this exception were thrown. All right. And for the technical exception, and so here we have also the source, and maybe we can have some other attributes, like we can have as many, which is the reason, for example. All right, so the reason. So like the reason might be a completion or details for the message. All right, so like it might be some completion or some additional details for the error message. And then we have a technical exception. So the technical exception, generally when something is technical. So for example, of course, like we will have a code, like an error code and an error message. All right, so like we will have a code and a message. And also in here, so like mainly with a business exception and a technical exception, we will say that a business exception will be like almost, not always, but almost in the 4xx category. So like bad request or something like that. For the technical exception, mainly, or like generally, it will be like the 500. All right, so like it will be the 5xx exception. So like internal server, or like something which is related to another or to an external server. So now let's continue and let me explain this one. So for the technical exception, it will be mainly something really technical. So for example, let's say Kafka or RabbitMQ is down. We have, for example, our downstream service is also down, or I try to do something, but I don't know, something which is not related to the business rules, simply like that. All right, so this is one thing. This approach, I saw it in 1 or 2 projects, but personally, I would say it's fine when you start the project and the scope is not so big. All right, so when the scope of the project is not huge, and you do not have so many entities and so many domains to take care of, so having a business exception and a technical exception should be fine. All right, or should suffice. Now let's move to the second one. I will just move it here to the bottom. So I will just move this one in here, so I just have enough space to write. Okay, so now having this exception per scenario, and also having this exception per domain. So having this exception per scenario, this is too much. Or like simply, like I will give you a short answer, this is too much. All right, so like, because in this case we will have like maybe tens or even hundreds of exceptions per domain. So like game already exists, game platforms are not supported, game deletion exception, game update exception, and so on and so forth. So this is really too much. I really do not recommend this one. All right. So the final one, or like the final approach, which is honestly my preferred one, is having exceptions per domain. So exception per domain means not to have so many exceptions, or like not have hundreds or thousands of exceptions, but having few of them grouped by domain, or like grouped by functionality. So here, if we take the game domain, for example, so if we focus on the game domain, so for the game domain, we have a game exception. So here, let's try and have a look on what we have right here. So we have game already exists. Okay, so this is fine. And then we have supported platforms, like one or more platforms are not supported. And this is happening inside the game service, all right? So I can just simply have a game exception. So I can have an exception and I can simply call it a game exception. And I can pass the error message in here. And also, if I want, as an extra information, if it is required, I can add a code. All right, so like the code, it can be any way or any type of codes. So let's say, for example, for the game exception, let's say that all the error codes from 1 up to 99 are for the game exception. All right, and then I need, of course, when I use codes, I need to define a dictionary. All right, so I need to define a dictionary for that. So for example, code 1 means something, code 2 means something, code 3, and so on and so forth until 99. All right, so 99 also means something. Also, if I have, or like if I go to another domain, let's say I have, I don't know, like now we have category domain, and we will have a category exception. All right, and here I will have a category exception. So if I want to use error codes for the category exception, I can say, okay, so for the category, it will start from 100 up to 199. All right, so like I can give a range, or like any range you want. Okay, it depends really on what you want to do. And in the same way, I need to define it in my dictionary. So the dictionary is not something technical. It's just a documentation when you explain which means what. All right, so like 1, for example, means game title already exists, 2, platform not supported, and so on and so forth. All right, so here let's go back to our example. So now we have this exception. All right, so like we can define a game exception. So this game exception says, okay, I just can pass a message, and also if I want to, as an extra information, I can pass a code. Also, this code is useful. So like, what is the usage of having this error code? So here the code, or like the message that I would like to throw, is a message written in English, assuming that someone does not speak English, or like speaks only Chinese, and he will throw the message with a Chinese message. All right, with the Chinese text. So when you receive the information for the front end, let's assume that it's in English and also supports French. So it does not support Chinese. I know the example is not the best, but try to follow me along with that. So here, having this kind of dictionary means that when I receive a game exception with code 1, I know that from the front end side, I can use the I-18N, which is the internationalization, which is like the multi-language support, and I say, okay, code 1 has this value in French, has another value, so here let's say, for example, EN for English, and this one FR for French, for example, and code 1 means something in French, and then depends on the current language, I can just read the code from here. So this is what I meant by having a dictionary, and this dictionary will means a lot, and it's really important if you decide to use it. It's very important that you keep it up to date, all right, because it will be, or like it is the bridge between the backend and the front end when it comes to defining the codes, or like the error codes in here. Okay, so now, for example, when it comes to the next one, which is category not found, what do you think? So this one should be a game exception or a category exception? What do you think? So I will expect an answer in the comments or in the chat. So try to answer me. All right. So also in the same way. So here, when we want to delete a game, so here we have maybe another option. So here we have a game exception. Maybe I can add something else. So like game check exception or game validation exception or game something else. But game exception should be sufficient, by the way. But if you want to have a bit more control over this one, you can create another one. It's not a problem. But for here, just creating one exception per domain should be fine. All right. So Luke already answered me about this one. Yes, this one. So exactly, this one should be a game exception, not a category exception, because here category does not exist from the game perspective, not from the category perspective. All right. For example, when we want to update, like here we have the same thing. We will have almost the same thing when we want to update a category. So when for example, when we are in the category domain and we get such an exception, in this case we will throw a category exception. But in this case, the exception or like this message that we want to throw in here belongs to the game, not to the category. All right, because we are performing a game operation. All right. So this is it. So the next time I will yes, also for Carlos the answer is correct, game exception. So the next time, the first thing, or like what we will do, so as I mentioned, it will be a special session. So we will review these pull requests, as well as I would like to check this one with you. All right, I would like you to check. I would like you to implement this one, whether if you want to post it in our Discord server, or if you want, you can just present it, or if someone wants to present his solution the next time, so we can discuss this one. And as well as I mentioned before, we will review these pull requests all together, and also like we will see, like I will give you my feedback, my comments, and so on and so forth. And why I wanted to be via Google Meet, because you can whether explain or justify yourself. For example, if I say, okay, this should not be done like this, or like this should be done this way, you can also like maybe explain the reasons why you implemented this way. So don't be shy. It's an opportunity for you. So you need to use it as much as possible. All right. So I hope today's session was okay, was fine, and I hope as always you learned something new. Now I will move to the chat, so prepare your questions. If you have questions, just go ahead and type them in the chat, and I will start answering your questions right now. All right, so I see that already that we already have something. So I see one first, or like it's an old message. Why not orphan removal? So I hope, or I think if it's related to the comment, I already answered that, or like I already explained that in the chat. Sorry, not in the chat, but in the session. So if it's something different, please go ahead and write me your question, and I will be glad to answer it. So the next one, is there a way to implement pageable with JPA queries such as find by name, pageable? Yeah, absolutely. So like, okay, so this is, I think I already explained that before, because in the JPA repository, when you create a method, you can also pass a pageable object. So like, for example, you can find by name, so you can pass the string name. So let me remove this one. So you can pass the string name, comma, the pageable. All right. So like a pageable page. So this, you can do this. Okay. So you can absolutely do this. All right. So, so Spring recently add a method map to page and avoid us to map all the pageable object, return game repository dot find all pageable dot map. Okay, I did not see that. I did not check this update, but I will check it. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing this. So this also like solves maybe the problem if you want to use a page response, or like the page object directly without going through the page response object that we created. All right, guys. So if you do not have any further questions, I would like to thank you for joining today. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something new, and I hope I shared something valuable with you. So yeah, please, for the next time, as I mentioned, I will send you the link earlier, or like as early as possible on the Discord server. And also, as I mentioned, the session will be live on YouTube. So for the people who want to keep, or like who want to always follow on YouTube, it's totally fine. As well as if they want, like, I will paste the link, or like the Google Meet link, also in the chat of the next session, so everyone can join us directly. All right. So if you do not have any further questions, thank you so much for joining me today, and I wish you a great start of a new week, and see you in the next one.